how will England feel about playing Wales? Will Gareth Southgate be happy about coming up against Rob Page's team, or will he be a little bit disappointed that they got through? Because it does create the Battle of Britain scenario once again. And, 2016, they've got to play Wales in the group. 2020, end up being 21, they have to play Scotland in the group. And then another World Cup where they've got a home nation appointment before they even get through the knockout stages. It's quite a bit of a quirk of fate.
I think it's a difficult one. I think the players would probably rather play Ukraine in some respects, even though they've got technically... They're a good side, Ukraine, in terms of their technique and the way they pass the ball. But you don't have that same pressure of the build-up and the intensity of that home nation rivalry, and the spotlight's on you a bit more in those games, I think. So in that respect, maybe, I think probably the players would rather to face Ukraine, because they've dismantled them before, didn't they, in the last game? That they wouldn't be in any fear of them. The Welsh players know the England players a bit better. There's probably a few friendships and a few little... That sometimes can be a difficult one, even if you're a better player or a better team. I think Gareth, to be honest, the way he is, the way he comes across, the way he thinks, I don't think he'll mind. I think he believes in the squad so much that he'll feel that they'll beat either of them. So I don't think he'll be as bothered as the players. I think the players more bothered than the manager. What
happens to Gareth Bale between now and the World Cup? What's he going to do? Cardiff City?
That seems to be the talk this morning. Some kind of short-term contract, keep himself fit, play his way into form for the World Cup. I wondered if maybe a move to the States might be more palatable. It's a cliche, but does Gareth Bale really want to go to Stoke on a Tuesday night and possibly risk picking up an injury?
What's Stoke on a Tuesday night? Bobby Williams was in Stoke this weekend. He had a great time.
The Championship is a very competitive league.
That's the Stoke.
Excuse me, the people in Port Vale won't want to say that.
Burslem.
The Potteries.
But the Championship is a very competitive league, so I just wonder if that floats Gareth Bale's boat at this moment in time. I did text a former teammate of his last night and said absolutely no chance of Gareth Bale retiring now, and they suggested that wasn't really on the cards anyway. But listen, he says he's got multiple offers, so he's going to find a club. He's not just going to play golf and keep himself fit on his own. But he's not the force he was, Gareth Bale. And actually, when you look at this group, England should win it at a canter.
Yeah, they should.
Iran, USA and Wales. That is as easy a group as you can get, because this Wales team, despite how much we've been lauding them for what they achieved yesterday, I don't think it's as good a team as England faced in 2016, because 100%. Gareth Bale was at his peak of his powers then. Aaron Ramsey was clearly much fitter and much sharper. They had people like Ashley Williams at the back. You look at the squad now, there's a lot of players playing outside the Premier League. If England turn up and they're professional, they should sweep Wales aside.
It'd be interesting to see, though, won't it? Because there's a few players in that Wales squad that have got points to prove. Nico Williams, for example, was at Liverpool, decided to force through a loan move to Fulham because he wanted to put himself in the picture to play for Wales in this particular tournament and possibly get them through to the World Cup. He's successfully done that. Where does his future lie? Will he be a player that is pushing for an exit from Liverpool to ensure that he's still in the World Cup picture?
I think so. Yeah, that would make perfect sense for him. You wouldn't want to miss out on this wonderful opportunity just by not getting game time, even if it means a loan. But he did well, actually, yesterday, I thought. But I think you make a good point, Sam, in terms of personal motivation. When you're looking to succeed in your career as a young man and you're trying to either find a club or establish yourself at a club, it gives you more incentive, doesn't it? But these are the little things they're the only small things that the reasons why I suggested that the England players might have preferred to not play the Welsh, because we've seen, and I agree with you, Crookie, the 2016 team was better. But it does, we joked in here all last season, didn't we, to Jim, about England under 21s could have beat Scotland, and they end up...
Simon did.
I jumped on it stupidly, and then the Scots play out the skin and get a 0-0. And
that's what can happen.
That's what can happen.
So it's slightly different in this tournament, though, isn't it? Because if I'm not mistaken, in the European Championships, with slightly fewer number of teams and fewer groups, 3 teams are likely to progress from the group stages, whereas that's not the case in the World Cup. It's just the top 2. So you can't afford to play your way into the tournament, and you can't afford really to drop points and be happy with a draw. I mean, England were happy with a draw that night because they knew that ultimately 4 points would get them through. But that might not be the case when it comes to this World Cup. So the onus might be on them to go out and actually win the game.
I think also because of the position they've got themselves in over the last few years of their form. forget the recent game against Hungary, but we've had a semi-final and a final in the last 2 big tournaments. We're a different animal than the one in 2016. I think the confidence in the group's higher, the belief's bigger, the experience is better. I think that the England players will be going into all of those group games thinking that if they're anywhere near their best, they'll comfortably win all 3 games.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.